problem with these Trump folks. It's not that they're corrupt, although they are. It's not that they're evil, although they are. No, my problem is these people are goofy-ass mother. But what do we have now? J.D. Vance, RFK Jr., and Elon Musk. I cannot believe America is going to be ended by these loser incels.
Checking in on the mainstream media, because right now left-wing media outlets are having a meltdown. Why? Because Donald Trump has accepted a small number of refugees from South Africa. This week, the Trump administration granted 59 white South Africans refugee status because they're victims of government-sponsored racial discrimination in their homeland, according to the White House. This is what President Donald Trump had to say.
White farmers are being brutally killed and their land is being confiscated in South Africa, and the newspapers and the media, television media, doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they'd talk about it. That would be the only story they'd talk about.
So the Trump administration has granted refugee status to these 59 men, women and children because there have been a spate of murders of farmers in South Africa. And yet the same mainstream media outlets that seem to have no problem with Joe Biden's open border policy that allowed almost 10 million illegals to cross the border, including some on a terror watch list, suddenly have an issue with these 59 refugees from South Africa being granted asylum in the US. This is some of what went to air on MSNBC's panel, where nearly every commentator sounded devastated that America was taking in these men, women and children. And one guest even suggested that the situation in South Africa isn't that serious because, quote, only a small handful of white farmers have been murdered.
There's just been a small handful of farmers that have been killed over the past 10 years. No land has actually been expropriated. So it's just a farce and a sham and a moral ugliness.
Only a handful. In recent years, there have been 300 farm attacks and at least 50 murders, not that any amount should be okay. But the hysteria does not stop there on MSNBC. Here is their political analyst, Donna Edwards, suggesting that Donald Trump is only doing this because he's racist.
Well, in my view, what makes it different is that they are white South Africans. The president, in my view, has not hidden his racism behind a bushel. In fact, in his policies, whether it's removing government workers or, in this case, admitting white South Africans while denying refugee status, asylum seekers from other countries, principally Central and South American and Black nations, to come into this country. And so I think that, this policy, while it's not surprising in this action, really speaks of the underlying message in this that disrespects and shows disdain for people of color.
On Monday, the 59 refugees arrived in the United States and many held up USA flags and posters thanking President Donald Trump. And this MSNBC reporter will tell you that it is appalling to suggest that these people would likely assimilate in America. And this reporter even went so far to suggest that there is no race-based violence in South Africa.
The Trump administration, they're saying that essentially these white South Africans assimilate better and they're also not as much of a security risk. That's really causing a lot of people to be appalled, frankly. And I should tell people that this violence that they're talking about that are dealing with these Afrikaners, I've been hearing from people that say there is violence in South Africa, but it's affecting everybody of every single race, Katie.
Once again, the mainstream media in meltdown. They're not just up to their old tricks, but they're straight up lying to you.